spoken.
James, if you don't mind, can you please clarify, especially for those who've just joined, the reason why we're recording this meeting, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for being here on incredibly short notice. Rima Labo and I have been having meetings like this every morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. You can translate that to your time zone. We will be having that meeting 6 days a week for people to put forth their ideas about what we need to do. The reason for this meeting is the WHO announced just yesterday that they're doing some interestingly unique things with their public comment in regards to the submissions for the pandemic treaty. I'm going to spend just 2 minutes to summarize it. There are some folks here who don't need any introduction, and we have a good group of people, including, thank you so much, Dr. Tess Lawrie and Jennifer Hibbard and Shabnam. Maybe we can bring you all together when I'm done with my 2 minutes. All I'm trying to do is get all of us like-minded people together so that we're aware of each other. The WHO has said that they are accepting 90-second videos as a form of public comment starting next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Now, if you translate Geneva time, 5 p.m. Geneva time on Tuesday is really early my time, Tuesday morning. So it's really kind of like Thursday night to, their time, 5 p.m. Wednesday. I smell a rat. I just want for all of us to communicate. So if we could do this, Tess, I know we're already a little bit later than you had hoped. If you would be kind enough to go first, along with Jennifer and Shabnam, and if there are any other representatives I don't see from World Council for Health, if I could give you the first opportunity to speak. And then if everyone else could just raise your hand. If it's late for you, please raise your hand soon. For many of us, the time doesn't matter so much, but Tess and Jennifer and Shabnam, please, I don't want this to be about me talking. I want this to be everyone saying what their opinion of the situation is. Thank you so much.
I would like to add something else, if I may, first. Yes, what James said is absolutely accurate, but there's something else going on that is partnered and paired with that, and that is generating a global popular outrage and and demand for people in as many countries as we can mobilize and as many people as we can mobilize in those countries to demand in effective ways that their country exits the WHO and the UN, because once exited, the treaty regulations and so on have no impact. So that is, to me, the overarching focus. And then what James is talking about now is immediate and intense, and a very good step in that direction in enlightening, mobilizing, and motivating people.
And so, Mark Trozzi, I think you came in just after I was done saying we've got a nice group of folks from the World Council for Health. So if you all can please take the floor, and then Vicky, as soon as they're done, we'll go to you.
Okay, well, I might, thanks for having us, and thanks for all the work you're doing, James, Rima, and everyone here. I see our wonderful, my fellow steering committee member and the chair of our Law and Activism Committee, Shabnam Palesa Mohammed, is here. And so, Shabnam, if it's okay, I'd love you to sort of take the lead for us here.
James, thank you, Mark Trozzi. Lovely to see you here. James, what is it that you would like World Council for Health to speak to right now?
Well, the details about what the WHO is doing is both, I think, a trap, but also an opportunity. They seem to believe that they can control the flow of video. They're,
Right.
what they are saying is, send us your 90-second videos with the proper decorum on the proper topic, answering the proper question. Do as we tell you, you good obedient people, and we will select the ones that we feel are best and put together 2 separate 3-hour compilation videos. The math would work out 120 people would get to speak for 90 seconds. That would be September 29th, 3-hour video. Another 120 people would get to speak for 90 seconds. That would be the 30th, September 30th, 3-hour video. So they're looking at getting 6 hours of 90-second videos, which is 240 people from around the entire world. If they think they can stifle our voices into that little tiny video funnel, I think they've made a big mistake. And so my encouragement is to have everyone in their own platform. I'm not really asking anybody to do anything. I'm asking for everyone to do as they see fit, seeing that this is an opportunity to speak to your audience, your membership, your subscribers, whatever it may be, and activate them to just flood the world with a video stream of what people want the WHO.
I
sorry,
need
what-
to interrupt again. I
Please
need to
do, Rima.
interrupt again. 2 people, Tess and Mark, have said that they're not comfortable with recording. And I said I thought it was useful for us to be able to share this with our communities, but I need to have the sense of the group whether we do want to record or not.
I absolutely want to record. We will have another meeting tomorrow. We will have a meeting the day after. We have a lot of people here who would like to speak. If the World Council for Health would like to listen at this point, that's absolutely wonderful. If anyone who would like to speak would just raise their hand, we'll just go through the list of people who wish to speak. When everyone who wishes to speak is done, we'll stop the recording and then we'll go from there. I hope that's acceptable.
Not necessarily stop the recording. There may be other things that
Sure.
need to be recorded, but
Right.
okay, people, Tess has said she'll leave the meeting and be briefed by others. Other people are saying recording. I personally, while not having the deciding vote, of course, I happen to think this is an important meeting to record because we will want to share it with the people who are not here at the moment. So it looks like we're going to go ahead recording, and those people who are not comfortable doing so, actually, one of the things you can do is turn off your camera and just change your name to be blank so no one knows you're here, if that's
Okay.
something you want to do.
Vicky, you had your hand up. If you would still like to speak, you can go first and then we'll do Philip.
Yes, my hand was when we start to record. After the first people that want to speak, to leave their message to Mr. Tedros, and after they leave the message, the first ones, I would like to leave my message because for me it's getting too late. Also, that's why I had my hand, but I leave the first messages to the first ones. That's it. So it's not my turn to speak now.
Okay, so Philip, your hand was up. If you care to speak, that would be great. And anyone who wishes to speak, and this isn't like we're going to send this message to the WHO. This is just all of us as activists giving your input from what it is that you know now. I'm not sure if Philip has dropped off, but anyone who wishes to speak, feel free to raise your hand and we'll just go in order with whatever people suggest saying. Philip, I see you're still here. If you would like to go first, that'd be great.
Can you hear me, James?
I certainly can.
Very good. Thank you very much for organizing this Zoom meeting. Hello, everybody. I'm Philip Kruse from Switzerland, lawyer and activist with respect to COVID-19 since the first day. With respect to this latest move, I would like to share my thoughts very briefly. What shall we do with it? You said this is an opportunity. Number one, it is correct to say this is also a trap, because by asking the question, how do you, the people, want us, the WHO, make this treaty being shaped and being structured, people are invited actually to say, yes, we want a treaty. And this is exactly the opposite of what we want. In my view, the first comment we should give as a community, even if as a long-term goal, we all want to have the WHO being left and being scattered into all winds and destroyed. The first step, actually, in my view, should be to remind them that by way of a well-established quality control standard, the number one should be to do an after-action review of the past 2.5 years. And that means the WHO should actually ensure that never again they will trigger or extend a fake public health emergency of international concern without solid and well-reviewed reasons and facts and methods. And so that they, as a number one, should make sure that they have well analyzed and reviewed the methods on which the WHO has based its risk analysis, talking about the PCR. So this is, of course, one first point. The second point is, of course, corresponding to the first, is that they must be assured that before extending the powers of WHO and making the next steps, we also want to see a proper after action review with respect to all pharmaceuticals and non-pharmaceutical interventions that they have recommended. So that for the future, the WHO will truly respect all the well-established universal human rights, people's right of self-determination, state sovereignty, and of course, most of all, that no harm is being done. I'm talking about lockdowns, I'm talking about the masks, and most of all, obviously, we are talking about the vaccination. So, and that would be an important distinct point, that actually we make the WHO go back and tell us why. Why did the WHO ever dare to promote such a strict vaccination policy without considering already existing alternative methods to prevent, methods to cure? And why did the WHO promote this strict vaccination policy of such a new, ineffective, and unsafe mRNA substances without any real necessity, without due information about all the risks involved, and most of all about without properly monitoring the outcome and the side effects? So actually, what we should do is the first step is actually to raise the attention. Let's first analyze the past before we can go to the future. This is actually all I wanted to say. Thank you. And this is a standard procedure. This is a standard procedure in business, a standard procedure in military, a standard procedure in sports. You do an after action review if you want to become better and if you want to avoid errors. So this is what I wanted to raise. Although knowing that our long-term goals of all of us is to leave the WHO and to shut it down. Thank you very much.
Rima, you're muted, but your hand is up, so you're next.
I wasn't, yes, you're right, my hand is up. You clarified, Philip, for me, because it sounded to me as if your position was, how can we make the WHO more functional, better, et cetera? And my position is, we don't need no stinking WHO. And we certainly don't need no stinking UN. So if that's a tactic toward total withdrawal, that makes sense to me. If that were its own objective, I would have trouble with it, because fundamentally, at least for me, the goal has to be to exit our countries from their grasp. They are fundamentally death dealing. So
Absolutely. I understand your concern. The point is only that we need to convince more people about the reasons why to step out.
I
And
believe that we
yeah.
can convince more people by being quite clear about the many high-handed, authoritarian, terrifying things that WHO has done and is clearly planning to do. Just help them understand One Health, help them understand 500 vaccines to be rolled out in Agenda 2030 in their own documentation. No one
Absolutely.
left behind, you know. So I don't think we need to stepwise it. As long as we're taking the action to communicate, I think we can communicate the stark reality in an effective way, many different effective ways.
Yes, thank you very much, Rima. Just put yourself into the position of the WHO. If we all will say we want to leave the WHO, the first thing they will say is, oh, we have these activists, we just don't listen to them. But if we come up with a standard established procedure, international procedure that is applicable everywhere, they can't escape. They have to say, oh yeah, we should do something to avoid errors. And actually these activists are right. So that was just a tactical reason for me to give them something they cannot avoid. If they would avoid it, then we can say, look, WHO has violated these very basic principles of their own quality control. So actually, basically, they are doing whatever they want to do. So we have to leave. But you're right, we could do it also directly. It's a tactical question.
Okay,
Yes.
if I may, Mr. Briskin, and then Vicky.
Right. Right before leaving, Tess actually said, obviously, the WHO will solicit and select videos that support their narrative. Do we know how they're going to be selecting the videos? I mean, I assume as soon as there's a process where they can veto, our voices disappear.
No, there is the selection has been described as they will choose. It does not say how.
Michael, I will dig up the words and I will screen share them momentarily for you so that we can all talk about that. That's a good question. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say while I'm digging that up for you?
No, I just, I just wanted to know what the odds are we actually get the video out there, considering that they're going to be selecting against this if they can.
I think the idea at the moment is that the videos all the videos that will be sent and submitted will be taken by the WHO. Only a part of them will be selected to the 3 hours that they will be showing, and the rest that is not going to be shown will be available to view on the WHO website. So this is where we've got with what they've proposed.
If you believe that they will actually do that and follow through. There's no policing. So our suggestion is you go to preventgenocide2030.org and give the link there as well. We'll be happy to show every video.
So I hope everybody can see and can hear on the Intergovernmental Negotiating Bodies page, and I put this in the chat. The compilations will be prepared by the WHO Secretariat, taking account the need to ensure propriety, appropriateness, and quorum during the public hearings, as well as gender balance and equitable geographical representation. Video statements that are not included in the compilations will be accessible from the website, provided they also meet the rules. These video statements will be made available as soon as possible after the closure of the public hearings, which are the 29th and the 30th of September, and timing will depend on how many they receive. They have failed to do that exact thing with the written statements that were made in April. And I trust them about as far as I could throw any one of their buildings. Michael, we'll move on if you've got more. Otherwise, we'll go to Vicky.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, for the ones that weren't here before, I'm an activist in my country, apart from my natural profession. I represent before it was the Worldwide Rally for Freedom and Europeans United. I'm with Justina Walker and Mads and other projects. About the WHO, for me, there is no more time to waste and to have to convince people that we have to get out and say no to everything. I have no more time because people in my country are dying by the hour, because my country, Portugal, is one of the most inoculated countries in the world. So every day people, elder people, people of every age and children are dying. Babies born and a few hours after they're born, they die. So actually, I don't have the patience, I don't have time, I don't care anymore to convince imbeciles of they are already convinced because the families are dying. So for me, it's a big no to everything that comes from this WHO. My minister, not mine, the Minister of Health for my country, Marta Temido, she was the one that said in the first hand, yes to everything in the forum. But now she's out of the government and it's our turn, the people from Portugal, to say no to everything. My suggestion is for us to do campaigns every day, not to explain what they did before, because they already stepped everything that all the lines, all the genocide lines, they already broke all the rules. They've done everything they shouldn't done because they put measures out as if they were laws, and they stepped on our constitutions of our own countries. So for me, that is enough. Enough is enough. And now we have to say to people, we don't need this and we are out. We don't need to explain what is out there. We just need to say no. This is my position, is the position of the movements that I represent in my country, is the position that of the movements that we, the three of us that we are here, represent also, is to say no to everything. And by the way, we already had more than 2 years of time. We already gave too much time to everyone. So the time now is to end this. And the only word that I admit to say to this WHO is no. That's it. Sorry, guys. I have to leave this Zoom meeting today, but I hope to go back. I'm so sorry also to be so direct and so pragmatic, but that's why I'm here in this place as the representative of my country and in this fight. That's it. Thank you very much to invite, sorry for invite me, and hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
Kathleen, you're next.
Hi, my name's Kathleen, and I work, excuse me, I'm from the United States, but I'm here in Ecuador working with a number of activists to try to stop laws from being passed that will implement mandatory vaccination and all sorts of other things. And for me, you know, I've given up in terms of trying to convince the people currently working for the WHO of anything. They clearly have a very, very evil agenda depopulation and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking upon this more as an opportunity to try to get this opportunity to speak in front of the WHO out to as many hundreds or thousands of like-minded people as possible, because then everybody will go, oh, now's my chance. Maybe it's a good idea for me to really think about what I would really say. And that can strengthen their internal desire to be more active in this fight. And that's the value of everything to me, because I feel like the WHO doesn't care. They just want to have total control and total power. But if we could use this, like I know a lot of people that will come out and stand in line to sign like a petition. And then they say to me sort of in my ear, I need to lie low, and they won't do anything else, nothing, right? But if they have an opportunity, to do something more, and this is an opportunity to do something more, just make a video, whether it ever gets shown or not. And thank you for the opportunity to put it on Prevent Genocide 2030.org. I think that's wonderful. Then I think this is a way of galvanizing people all over the world to, just get moving more than they have been. And that's kind of, we're all going to have different things we want to put in the video. Like for me, it's absurd that you can read a Bluetooth signal from somebody who's been vaccinated. That's the most horrific thing for me. But I mean, other people will have other more horrific things to them. And as long as everybody does their own video, then we don't know who they're going to pick. Probably a bunch of people that agree with them, but the variety is fine. It's good. And so that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Jim, you're next.
Is that Jim, me here that you're referring to? Jim Tingley?
The other Jim who is just Jim.
Okay.
Hey,
sorry.
hey, thanks very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, good job, James. And I sent you some stuff via text message. As you know, the link to the WHO, the World Economic Forum, and the Wuhan lab, this was not created in Wuhan. This is the spike protein that is racially specific. And the thing that links this all together to the WHO, the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab, George Soros, is the racial specificity of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein that does not affect the ACE2, those with ACE2 receptor K26R. And I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with that, but the K26R ACE2 receptor does not bind to the K26R ACE2 receptor or the ACE2 receptor binding domain of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. I apologize for being a little technical, but this is the link to the Ukraine, to the WHO, to the World Economic Forum, to everything. The racial specificity of the genocide. Those who are K26R ACE2 receptor can get vaccinated all they want. They won't die. They won't get sick from the spike protein. And that's the real secret to this. They can get vaccinated, they can get the virus, they won't get the damage. And if we understand that this is the actual plot, Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six is the intelligence community, Six Eyes, headed by Israel, and member states are United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, United States, Canada, England. This is the intelligence community that's perpetrated this. So the question really is, are we going to call out the intelligence community? And how do we stop the intelligence community from this organized takedown of the world, whose goal is to digitize the currency for their paid masters, the Rothschilds and Soros, Klaus Schwab, who are not affected by the COVID? Are we prepared to address the intelligence community as part of the people who are orchestrating this through WHO? The United States, last administration, got out of the WHO. And as soon as the new administration came in, we were put right back in. How do we address the intelligence community? How do we address the racial specificity of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein? I heard somebody say not accurate. Do you want to continue?
I will jump in a little bit. Rima, when it's your turn, we'll address the details of the fact that Trump started the process to get us out money and all that sort of stuff, that's a whole nother thing. Jim, if you could wrap it up with a view to the immediate moment at hand where the WHO has put forth this public comment period and they are actively negotiating changes in the law. What actions do you feel you and the people that you're connected to are comfortable and would do in terms of the moment that we're talking about and focusing on right now?
Number one, we need to emphasize the racial specificity of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. Once we do that, we know any mandate is genocide against the people who are affected by the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein and perpetrated possibly by some of the people who are involved in the creation of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. So disclosing the racial specificity of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein is key. Number two, disclosing the inventors of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. In the United States, that means declassifying it. The declassification board is manned by Ezra Cohen Watnick and Trey Gowdy and some other people in the United States who must declassify the spike protein if they don't declassify it. So we have to, so two things are most important: declassify the spike protein and document the racial specificity and how any dissemination of the spike protein is genocide against those who bind to the ACE2 receptor. And exactly how to do that is by, we've sent letters to the UN Genocide Council documenting the racial specificity of the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. And any thoughts you have, I'd appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be talking in the future, I'm sure. Justina.
No, okay. I think also I'm just going to be very brief, very quick about it. So I think the main thing important at the moment is that we need to focus on the fact that the WHO has thrown out this information about these public hearings. For us, the main thing is to make as many people aware. This is probably why the Zoom is needed, because a lot of people over here have got their own specific networks in different countries. I'm myself in Poland, Vicky who's in Portugal, Mats who's in Denmark, Maria who's in Austria, etc. And so there are so many of us. And I think if we shine a light on the fact that, first of all, these public hearings have been announced very quickly. We do not have much time for people to actually check that knowledge, know it. So we're kind of the ones who are bringing it forward and pushing it to the network of people so that they can find out. And in that way, we do realize that most of these public hearings, they're just a show for them to show that they're having a transparent and a democratic system, which we know, it isn't. It's not very transparent. It's never been transparent. It's just a word on a paper that they use. However, if we're able to convince as many people to actually do these 90 seconds videos, to send them off to the WHO, I think there has been a proposition here that there is another website that these video can also be sent. And I guess it would be good if people do record these videos of them to the WHO, but also send it to the other website. That way we can actually have a comparison with the website that will have all the videos that have gone in for these public hearings. We cannot expect that the WHO will put all of them in there. I know some people think it's a trap. I also find it a trap, but I think the wording of the public hearings is a trap. It's a trap because it's saying, if you survive the period of COVID-19, please tell us how we can make this this treaty work. I think the idea of the videos should be more, well, we are sending you the video to tell you that we don't want the treaty. And I think if we can convince as many people to actually send videos with saying, it's not about how we want this treaty, it's about the fact that we don't want this treaty and we don't want you to do any treaty. This is how we should be aiming at it. Sure, I understand that a lot of these videos will probably not be shown, but if we have a second side where such testimonials can be placed, then we will have some sort of, record of actually how many people have sent such types of videos. For me, this is where we can go. We know that they will speed it up. They already did. They're saying they're going to do it on the 30th. After that, it is not far off from the point where they will have some sort of a zero draft by December. So if we can make as many people aware that there is a way of saying no to what they're proposing by saying we don't actually want this treaty at all, then this is the only way, in my opinion, we can approach these public hearings, by not getting sucked into their trap of giving them advice how to make it. We just don't want the treaty at all.
Okay, John
Justina,
Stone,
may I
please.
jump in here? Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. May I jump in here, Justina, just for a second? Because do you also mean that the videos that people from all around the world send to WHO, and they probably would ignore them or don't put them online, whatever, and then we would have like another web page where we could show how many videos did, and then how a few of them will be shown or not? Is that also the idea? Did I get you right?
Yes,
precisely.
because somebody has already put in a link over here in our chat with a link of a website when we can put ask people to send these videos to as well. So actually, when somebody makes a video, they will send it to WHO and then do a second sending to that website. And that way, they said they will post all of them. So I think if we're able to keep as many people informed that, yes, if you are sending your video, and in my case it's a very simple video, I don't agree to any treaty, so I am not going to tell you how to do it, because I don't actually want you to be responsible for creating a pandemic treaty. And then if this is a video that I'm pretty sure that video would never reach a site when they show it, and maybe it will be on the WHO website, which I doubt that too, because that's what they're saying, 3 hours of ones that they'll show and the rest will be on their website. I absolutely doubt that video will get to one or the other. However, if we have that second one that we've just came up here and suggested, that is probably a good testimonial for us, that they're not taking us seriously, that they are not taking all the people's opinions. They are choosing from the ones that fit their agenda. And that is definitely showing that this process isn't democratic, transparent, or listened by them to what the people are actually saying. We don't want the treaty. We never wanted it.
If I may go a little further and then go to John Stone. It's not just that there is one other repository of such videos. It's an encouragement to every group on the planet to do the same thing with their membership, their subscribers, their viewers, whatever it may be, that we flood the internet with these videos to just overwhelm whatever the WHO may be doing. John Stone, please, you're next. And if everyone who has spoken previously, if you could drop your hand down, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, fine. Look, I've got many things I might want to say. I just wanted to say something in favor of Philip's idea, only insofar as it's an argument to say, well, we don't actually think the WHO has any role in this world anymore. We'd be very grateful to see it. But they haven't even done this. They haven't even made an assessment of their past performance. And I think this, I think it's a very useful debating point. But I don't think I don't think it's an either or. You can do both. You can say, well, we don't, obviously you've made an absolutely rotten, stinking job of this, and your motives are not clear. But you haven't. We haven't even got an assessment of your performance over the last 2.5 years. Anyhow, that's just one of my thoughts. I mean, other thoughts I just sort of see. Obviously, it's very difficult from the position in London to see that these people you know, distinguishing between the MHRA and the WHO and CP and all these Gavi and all these groups, because you know they all merge into one another, and this, you know, obviously we actually have got a nice head of people who are very much opposed to all of it. And you know, so you know, they've got things like Together and so forth, but excellent groups, but you know, it's you know, you have all these front organizations. The WHO is one of them. Obviously, we can stick a stake through the heart of the WHO. It'll be a major gain with it all, but anyhow, that's my immediate thoughts.
Thank you, John. Dr. Mark Trozzi, please.
Thanks, James. A lot of good points made here. I'll try to be brief. I certainly see some time challenges for us on this, given the time frame, and particularly time challenges in terms of doing this well, because we would need to assemble some significant resources, some of which we may already have, within days, really, to be effective in this. I could see, I like very much the idea of there being, first of all, one thing we've learned is to get actions to happen, you got to make it simple. The difference between 400,000 people and 400 people taking an action is how simple it is. So we got to narrow this down. Sounds like it could be simple, at least on the user end. And that would be, hey, record a 90-second video and upload it to the WHO and upload it to this site. Ideally, if we could make that invitation something that's embeddable, so partners around the world could embed this. But I mean, this really calls for quick action. Now, given that if we're able to pull that off in the next few days, then I think there's very valid point to the two messages I'm hearing here. So Philip, thanks for your expertise. And so if some of those messages are very formal, they're like, please explain to us this and please explain that, and how did you fulfill your duty to us in this regard and that regard, those sort of messages might get through. And having those questions placed in the actual WH form may help, if nothing else, to further create some divisions that must already exist there. When you look at the fact that Tedros alone had to veto the committee on making monkeypox an emergency, and then at the same time, people can put in videos like we just heard from our good colleague in Portugal there, who said, we want nothing to do with these murderers. I get it, quite true. But if we can, at the same time, create a large library, and the people who enter their videos will be aware that their video now went two places. They can see the WHO's rejection of it, but they can see its existence. People will be free to go and look at the real library of human responses, which are going to contain some powerful messages that the WHO will never put out. But at the same time, I think it's important that a lot of us also put in the type of messaging that Philip was just describing, which will get in, will cause division, and hopefully, if there's a capacity to throw sort of a monkey wrench in the machinery of them moving forward, that would be good. And I just wanted to throw one other thing that maybe is a little bit tangential, but the WHO is at a minimum an allegedly criminal organization at this time. And I don't mean criminal as in like cheating on their taxes. I mean criminal as in mass murder. And that can, and I look to our lawyers like Shabman and Philip and others here to say, is there a legal and moral obligation to not fund a criminal organization? So in other words, you know, even if on the paper, I owe as a country, I'm supposed to make these payments to the WHO. But at the point where I become aware that they're a criminal organization participating in genocide and other crimes, I think at that point, I need to put a stop on all checks. So anyways, those are the thoughts I wanted to share. I'm grateful to be part of the forum. Thanks, James and Rima, for leading.
Okay, DT, if you could expand on your initials so we know who you are, and go right ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Roguski, for allowing me to speak. This is Douglas Thompson, representative of the Freedom Restoration Foundation. We'll go ahead and publicize the information regarding the video that we can send to the World Health Organization. Now, we'll primarily encourage our audience to assert their rights as outlined in the People's Treaty. I think that's probably what we'll focus on encouraging our audience to do. However, I'm not so sure how effective this will be, but we'll go ahead and try to help you in this effort. Now, I'd like to just throw this seed out there to anyone who's listening, especially any lawyers out there. The way that we see it, the situation as it exists right now, there are organizations that have, we believe, waged war against humanity, and we do believe that it can be proven. We believe that the lockdowns and the shutdowns of small businesses were a commercial blockade. As outlined in the Rules of War, Geneva Convention, blockades are an act of war. We also believe that preventing people from moving, preventing people from using the highways and their vehicles, shutting them down, locking them in their homes, amounts to arrest. So we do believe that the situation we're currently in falls under Geneva 3 and 4. So we do believe that the rights outlined to us in the 3rd Geneva Convention and the 4th Geneva Convention are at play. We do believe that the people of the world have the right to elect representatives as outlined in the Geneva Convention. And we believe that this is most likely the proper response that we should, as a world community, initiate from this point forward. Thank you for giving me the time to speak at the forum, and it's time for me to leave. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Rima.
Lots and lots of thoughts. Wonderful discussion. I have put 3 documents on the chat. I hope you will download them. First of all, in my mind, I just wanted to finish this one word for the chat. Okay. First of all, in my mind, the first step immediately is getting as many people as possible to do what James is urging us to do. Make videos. Now, of course, they've made it harder than it has to be. They've said you have to submit a video and a transcript just to make it more onerous for people to do that. But I think people need to submit as many as possible, saying in their own words, with their own passion, hell no, I don't want you in my life. You can't make it better except by going away, however they want to say that. And I think that as you said, Mark, there should be a multiplier in terms of the electronic access. So on our sites, click here, make your video, and also have it go to other sites where it's housed. We have created Prevent Genocide 2030. By the way, that helps to translate the word agenda. Whenever you hear agenda in that context, we want you to think genocide, because that's what it is. We need to deconstruct their jargon at every turn. But we'll house it there. Other people can house it as well. This is the collection of reality that needs to be shared in order to encourage the people who take the step, and also to enliven and embolden the people that they direct, hey, go look at the video that I made. That's tremendously important. The second thing is immediately following, and in my mind, encompassing that is the next step, because obviously one step is not going to do this. This is a huge, huge, huge undertaking. And this, to me, is get out of WHO, get out of the UN. The next step in my mind, and I believe that any marketing or any information dissemination has to have 3 basic rules met, because this is what people care about, as I understand it. What's in it for me? Is it easy? Will it work? Okay, so what's in it for you? The WHO, the International Negotiating Body, all of these agencies will deal only with what they call, James, what's the phrase? What stakeholder? What is it? It's
Relevant
relevant. Thank
stakeholders.
you. Relevant stakeholders. Now there's one relevant stakeholder missing, you. And there's another one missing, me. So in our 7 o'clock Pacific time meeting, to which all of you are invited, and I put the link on, and we can put it again. We have been working on a draft action item that can be emailed to all the relevant recipients, which is national leaders, decision makers, and the international ones as well, saying, you're negotiating in secret, giving away my rights, making decisions that will affect me and my family, talking only to the relevant stakeholders. And that list of relevant stakeholders is over 12 pages long. But you've left out the most important relevant stakeholder, the essential stakeholder, me. You do not have my authorization to negotiate anything for me. Now, will this stop everything in its tracks? Of course not, but it will educate and involve at a personal level people, more people, and then more people and more people. And this document can be regionalized and particularized for your country, and your stakeholders can be, and not your stakeholders, your recipients can be entered. And how do you disseminate it? Use your own platform if you have the capacity, or use our almost unlimited capacity to send out multiple emails to the targets that you select. We talk about that on the 7 o'clock meeting, and I'm not going to go into it now, but it's a powerful dissemination tool that can work anywhere in the world. I believe that we have to very, very, very quickly start taking one step after another, mobilizing and motivating people to get their friends involved, social media, talking to them, churches, and so on and so on. Because otherwise, while we're having debates, they're moving forward ultra rapidly, and they're not kidding around. So these the two other documents. One is the text that is suggested. You might want to use it. You might want to modify it. You might want to throw it out. There are two other documents. One is a strategic framework for thinking about this issue and selecting our tactics on the basis of our strategic thought, which I think is really important. We tend to be more tactical than strategic, but we have to be strategic first and tactical second in order to be effective. And the other is the actual information that we all need to know, and that the people we talk to need to know about, precisely how you get out of WHO, how you get out of the United Nations. And this information pertains to any country, although there are particular aspects to it that are specific. So I put those up as helpful orienting documents that are, free to share, amend, do whatever you like with. And one other thing, since nobody else started talking. No, I don't think our point here is to take one crime or another and particularize it and make it our main focus. There's no end to the crimes being committed. They are endless, and the crimes to come are even more endless. So instead of focusing on one crime, we need to get the criminal element out of our lives and off our planet. And the most effective way to do that, I believe, is get out of WHO and all the subsidiary similar organizations and get out of the UN, and then we'll figure out the rest.
All right, Dr. Eric Feintouch, you are up next.
Unmuted. Can you hear me?
You are good.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right, good. All right. So just one thought that I think it keeps on resonating from listening to everybody Most of the political action in the world is always a response to something else. It's always a reflection. It's the idea that, okay, you said this and I disagree, and I find that that's one of the big problems with politics in general, is something's always reacting to something rather than coming up with a substantive plan that would put us on the map. In other words, the idea of just saying, okay, I'm saying no to the WHO, no to UN. Okay, those are easy things to agree with. The problem is you don't have a track clearly delineated that's going to say that. I mean, I love the commercial. I see the commercial, 5 seconds. They don't represent me. The person, the child, the mother, they don't represent me. All across the thing. They close my business down. I have no business anymore. They don't represent me. I see a very easy commercial in that 1 minute, we hit the world with it. But I think the key is that we need to have the same minds that are sitting in this room working on a proposal that competes on every level with what they already have spent all this time trying to do. And it has to be not as a response, but because it's a better alternative. And it has to fit it like a glove, because the idea of just saying no and then figure it out, that is never going to work, in my opinion, my humble opinion. What's going to happen is we need to have, these are our 24 amendments. These are the new future of the way we are presented with pandemics. We know that the world is basically full of 14 or 28 or some number of biolabs that are going to let out into the universe more of these, these weapons. And we know all that. So the question becomes is, what are we going to do different than what was done? Yeah, I appreciated the first attorney who mentioned we need to have them accountable. You know what? No, yes and no. We need that, of course. But we need to say what was done by this organization and every other organization was, these are the flaws, these 5 points, these 6 points. This is how we do it better. This needs the same effort you're doing to stop this. The same day, you need to be working on creating the next, Declaration of Independence, the next document that not only replaces the WHO, it says no, but this is the new future. And no, I don't believe the WHO, and I know they're here and I appreciate them. Sure, I don't believe anyone's got this, but we can sit down and every day work on it, just like those 76 people that signed the Declaration of Independence. We need to put the same effort into creating the future, because we don't want to repeat all the same mistakes. And by putting out that document, that becomes the new way to go forward. That's all I have to say, and I appreciate everyone being here.
All right. In the chat, there has been numerous links. If everybody knows how to save the chat, you can save all the links in one fell swoop just by opening up the chat and hitting the three dots on the right. It will save the chat, and then you can show it in your Finder, and it will save everything in a text file for you. My contact information is there. If all anybody remembers is my phone number, 310-619-3055. You can get back connected. We put the link in the chat. I'll do it yet one more time before we leave. We have been meeting 6 days a week at 7 a.m. Pacific, and everyone is invited, and everyone is invited to invite everybody, okay? We don't meet on Sundays, so we won't be meeting tomorrow morning, but we'll be meeting Monday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific. Rima, I think you raised your hand for a nanosecond.
I did, for a nanosecond. I am not sure.
You're breaking up real bad. Hold on.
I am not sure. Can you hear me now? I am not sure.
Your connection, hold on, Rima. Your connection is super bad right now.
That's weird, because nothing has changed. Can you hear
You
me
want
now?
to try without the headset, maybe? Try without the headset?
It's working for everybody else.
I can hear you well, Rima.
You can?
Yeah.
Maybe it's me.
Okay. Okay. What I was going to say is I am recording this, and I do not know where to tell you that the recording will be housed, because I certainly don't have everybody's email. James, how are we housing?
Oh, Paul and I will work on that, as long as you can get the email, the link to
Okay.
Paul. We will be good to go, and we will make that happen.
Okay,
I spoke
excellent.
for you, Paul, but I'm sure that you agree.
Now, the next thing is this a worthwhile enough use of time to reconvene, or was this an occasional moment in the history of our ongoing battle, and we just let it go at that?
I saw this as a one-time emergency meeting, and we're meeting every day at 7 a.m., which was chosen to be uncomfortable for Rima and me, but
And it
work
is,
for
it
most everyone
is.
else in the world. Yeah.
Yes.
Would it be
but,
possible if we could also, sorry, James, would it be possible, because there are other people, that we just give everybody a couple of minutes to actually say something that are here if they still want to do it?
Absolutely.
Sure, we'll keep going. Philip, you're
Just 1 second.
Eric, I think your hand.
Yes.
I think Eric's
Just-
hand being up is a residue. So go ahead, Philip.
Yes, thank you very much. James, thank you very much. Rima, I just wanted to quickly respond to Vicky's very strong and positive statement from Portugal. I just wanted to let you know, if you just want to say no, then my suggestion is give a reason why you say no. You can say no because too many people died in Portugal. You can say no because your measures were actually without any reason, or because there was no reason in the first place to call out for a public health emergency. But the only thing I want to say, just avoid the mistake of just saying no. And the point I would like to amend is then with my no, which I also will say, of course, is that there was never an after action review. There was never a control of the process. There was never a due process at all, and no quality control and whatsoever. Number two, I wanted to briefly tell you that I'm being a lawyer here in Switzerland. I'm talking about civil rights groups to actually withdraw the immunity from WHO and all the other international organizations. How could we do that possibly? We could do that by proving that these are criminal organizations. So if you are somehow working for a while already on WHO, that you have the case that these are criminal organizations, then please forward your information to me, because we want to bring the case forward to put out a public initiative, a vote that the immunity from all these international organizations here domiciled in Switzerland be withdrawn. Thank you very much.
Matt, do you want to say something?
Go right ahead, Paul. You're up next.
Okay, just very quickly, every organization needs big ideas, but also blocking and tackling. And that's a football reference, American football, sorry. So essentially, I'm going to provide some of that blocking and tackling and just try to get things done quickly and easily. There will be specific email addresses, and we can learn about all these things through three main sources. Go to the Substack that James maintains. He will have cross links to the other two websites that will help support and simplify what are the next steps. The other two sites are preventgenocide2030.org and leavethewho.org. There's no reason not to have both, and there will be branding on both. The whole idea is just to get a whole bunch of people to contribute things. And if there's good information that should be on our websites, we're happy to host it. And that just means a simple form to fill out and send the information forward. So I'm just trying to help in any way I can. I have a few web skills, and we'll do what we can to, get this as large and fast as possible. Now, sure, it'd be great to write a new constitution for the world and set a new world order ourselves and compete. That would be great. But what we have to do is get to the very first step, which is show how ridiculous this little video request is by the WHO by taking advantage of it and making a really big deal about ours. I think that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mats.
Yeah, hi James. So basically, I think two things is also important. I'm a former investment banker, so there's some money here going on, some money trails. And in the rest of the economy, we have something called impartiality. I mean, most people don't even know that WHO is privately funded. And very few, even fewer know that the people who are funding the WHO are making money on the vaccines. I think this is something that we should be screaming from the rooftops. That's one thing. Then another thing I think is that we actually have a chance now it is a mafia we're up against 100%. And the mafia is very profitable because they use all all sorts. They have no ethics. They use all means to make money, bribing, everything. They even printing their own money. They own the central banks, the printing press. They issue the money in the banks. So I think that we have a fantastic chance now, because everybody can remember fresh in our minds, the financial crash in 2008, and now the pandemic. And the similarity between the two is the multinational corporations make money like bandits. And the average person lost money. And even in the last incident, it was not only money, this time it was also their health. And I think it's a very important way to punish these people is to talk about money. Talk about, instead of we can't afford the winter, talk about how we can afford winter if the multinational corporations start paying tax instead of human beings. And one very, very, very elegant way and very simple way that no one can possibly be against is to tax transfers of money. If you put a 0.1% tax on transfers of money, and then all agree that this should be used solely to fund the lowering of energy prices, then everybody would be able to afford heating their houses in the winter. So I think it's also something very important is to bring in money into this. We're talking about self-defense, about a global coup d'etat and a genocide. That's what we're talking about. And this is just one tool, is looking at the money trail and having a way to make them suffer. And multinational corporation cannot go out publicly being against corporate tax. What they do instead is they put all the profits in a tax shelter. They cannot go out publicly and be against a 0.1% tax on profits. They go around talking about funding poverty and being global and nice and so on, right? They cannot go out, and they won't do it. And all the politicians who are paid by these globalists, they cannot go out and say, no, we think it's okay, you, my dear voter, cannot heat your house because I don't want to charge the vaccine manufacturers 0.1% when they transfer their profits to the Cayman Islands, right? So I think we're making the politicians checkmate, totally, all of them, because the minute they don't support this initiative, the voter will actually realize, oh my God, they are on the payroll. All these conspiracy theorists were right. They are all criminals. They all paid. So I think that's just what I want to say, that the impartiality, that the WHO is privately funded, and the people who are funding it are criminals making money on injecting people with poison. That's very important. And the second thing is, there's a way to make them suffer. And that is making them pay tax and making the human beings realize we don't have to pay tax at all. We could tax these bastards instead. We can just have tax when there's an economic transaction, and that's it. So this is my point of view. Thanks.
Good. Paula, you are up next.
Yes, thank you. In a way, we don't need to get, if the state owned their own banks, which is not the case anymore, we don't need to ask anyone to pay taxes, so to speak. I mean, I disagree with what Matt said before. I just wanted to add that there is a main issue in today's Western civilizations, is that most, in fact, if not all countries, the states do not own their own debts. The debt is owned by private banking, and they can print money as much as they want. So they can be made pay taxes. It doesn't matter. They will print thin money anyway. The problem is that and as long as the state is not sovereign in their finance management, there is no taxing that will solve any problem. And this whole business of energy, it's theater. There is no energy problem. It's another crisis that has to come on because we have to be kept into a perennial state of crisis. That's it.
Okay, here's what I would like to propose. I propose that if anybody else wants to have anything to say that is recorded, please raise your hand and we will do that. And then we will stop the recording and I'll hang out here as long as you want. We'll talk beyond the recording. So if anybody else wants to put anything in the recording, we'll give you Shabnam has raised her hand, so Shabnam will be, and then anyone else who wants to speak, raise your hand, and then we'll end the recording and continue afterwards. Shabnam?
So I'm speaking on behalf of the African Sovereignty Coalition here to say that the African continent has suffered immeasurably from the actions of the WHO, from historical incompetence and failures to innumerable harm caused upon our people, for example, through infertility vaccines that were perpetrated against our people in Kenya, facilitated by the WHO, to numerous other experiments by their funders in Big Pharma, to their failures during the COVID-19 chapter, rather than failures, I should say engineered failures that have affected the lives, the well-being, and the economy of the African continent, to the fact that we have absolutely no faith in them in future, because we know that they are infested with conflicts of interest. And of course, finally, with their attempts to censor our right to free speech, which Africans, like most people around the world, hold very dearly, Africa must resist the WHO. We have to stop the WHO. We have to exit the WHO, and we need to build on what 47 African countries did at the World Health Assembly 75, which is to say no to the international health regulations.
Agreed. All right, if anyone else wants to speak on the recording, going once, going twice. Rima, if you want to end the recording, that would be great.
You're silent.